none, why don't we go around and introduce, say where you're from and who, if you are affiliated with anybody, mention that as well. So, you start.
Gary Haley from Amory Historical Society.
I'm the better half. I'm Diana Haley from the Historical Society, and these are your books. Yay. Just letting you know.
Brenna Weston with the Polk County Historical Society.
Matt Keller, Birchwood Area Historical Society.
Leah Newman, Bruce Area Historical Society.
Mike Newman from Bruce area as well.
Dave Scrupke, Turtle Lake Museum.
And Diane Struckey. Same thing.
Sam Hanger.
Tammy Schutz, the Painter Village.
Sina Patterson from the Grants Creek Historical.
Minnie Hollinger, Grant Gary Historical Society.
Tim Weiss at the Clear Lake Historical.
And Ron Crash, Turtle Lake area too.
Your building is haunted.
So you say.
So is ours.
So is ours.
Ours should be.
Sarah Pika, Barron County.
Barron County, okay.
John Christman, Barron County.
Okay.
And Russ Hanson from Cushing, the Sterling, Eureka, and Laketown Historical Society, where Saturday the 28th is our 19th annual River Road Ramble, 40 to 50 stops from Grantsburg to St. Croix Falls.
There'll be a test later to see if all of you were paying attention to the names and where from. I've been sort of resurrecting knock-knock jokes. So those of you who have history background probably know what knock-knock jokes, but I'll give you a little training because I'm going to tell you one. I'm going to say knock-knock, you're going to say who's there, I'm going to say who's there, and then you're going to say who? Okay, so knock-knock.
Who's there?
Who's there? History is for everyone. Which is sort of a guiding principle for our site here in terms of trying to be inclusive, in terms of what we present, what that history, who that represents. I'm also involved with the Burnett County Tourism Coalition, and with the coalition, we have come to realize, and we're still learning, how important that is to include everybody when you're trying to attract. So in our goals or our mission, we say that it's important for us to respect communities and respect cultures and everybody that comes with that and anybody who might be attracted to Burnett. The same holds true for what we do at the Polk. So we reflect that in a lot of different ways. In a lot of our presentations, for example, when I'm going to back up a little bit before I go there and talk about some of the history and how we got started here. In the earlier mid-70s, some archaeologist types, knowing that and having access to some of the journals of the fur traders that were in the wild rice trading area, knew that there was a trading post someplace along the Yellow River. So in their diligence to try to discover where that is, they were on the other side of the river and talked to some farmers. Farmers know everything. Yeah, it's the guy over there with the camera knows because he farms, right? All right. So the farmers, the folks that they talked to said, well, we don't know where it is, but across the river, this side of the river, there's a pile of rocks. And if you know Burnett County at all, it is basically sand country. We don't have piles of rocks. So they figured, well, we always figured, they said, that it was a fire pit where the native community dried their socks. If you know your history, they didn't have socks. So they got the people who were trying to discover to come to this side of the river and started doing some digging, and they found in that exploration the remains of fur trading posts. What they found actually were burnt timbers of that, the outline or the foundation of that trading post. And then they discovered that within 60 feet there was another building. So this was the only place that we know of in U.S. history that two fur trade companies built so close to one another. It's like having a Target and a Walmart next door to each other, even closer. So it was the Northwest Company and the XY Company, both British companies, but in competition. And they came here about the same time as the Louisiana Purchase was going on. So 1804. So they were here 1802 to 1804, short time, but set up their trading houses down there, international shopping areas, because they brought products from China, from Britain, from all over the globe through that whole trading stuff that was going on during that period. So they brought those goods here, traded with the native community for fur. They traded for fur because in Britain at the time, the fashion was top hats. Top hats were made from beaver felt. They used beaver felt. That was the go-to fur because the under hairs of the beaver pelt has little barbs in it. Those little barbs, when you process it, latch together and you have felt. They used other furs too, but in order for it to get that hooking together quality in order to make fur, they had to damage those hides, that felt, with mercury. Mercury was poisonous. You know Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter? His conditions demonstrated in that story were that he was maybe sort of drunk, sort of crazy. He was suffering from mercury. That's what that condition is. So, anyways, so when we present that history, number one, we partnered with the tribal community, and so we got accurate history from their side of the page. So we would still today talk about that relationship. We talk about the role of women in the villages and how they really ran the show. We talk about Pierre Bonga. Pierre Bonga was a fur trader, African American, probably one of the few free men that were involved with the fur trade. He traded here, we were with the group that traded here. He had a reputation of the packs that they would carry for hauling furs and stuff like that weighed about 90 pounds apiece. He had a reputation of carrying 2 of them at a time for portages. So he left an impression. So beyond the fur trade history that we present, a number of years back we did 3 years of doing Civil War reenactments. And those battles that we picked to present to those who came were battles that we could document Native Americans participating in that war effort. So again, being inclusive with what we do. So that we try to, it's not just white history, sorry. It's everybody. History is for everybody. So that's sort of a theme that we carry through, try to carry through with what we do. Also in our presentation of history too. We emphasize our responsibility of being period correct, to the point, the library helps with this, to the point that a lot of our interpreters, a lot of the people who come and participate in rendezvous make their own clothing. Period correctness would dictate. Not everybody's good at it, because it means that you have to dig through your history. But stitches per inch are, I'm not sure how many, but it is by design and tools and whatnot, there are a number of stitches per inch that makes a garment politically, or not politically, period correct. When we talk about clothing, not only with our staff, but also with people who visit, we make corrections by saying, these are not costumes. This is period correct clothing. It is traditional clothing. So you have to be careful what your verbiage and how you present things, that you don't insult the culture. They're not costumes. This is not a Halloween show. So we have that responsibility. We, I don't know where I want to go with this. So we should talk about our buildings a little bit and what we have here. We started with the buildings, or the footprints down below what was found in the discovery. So we had an idea of exactly what we did. We knew exactly where those buildings were, did the history searches to find out how those were built, and recreated those structures in XY in Canton, or the Northwest Company in Canton. We knew that there was a palisade around. We knew there were 3 buildings, and we knew some of them had fireplaces in them. The pile of rocks actually turned out to be one of the fireplaces, one of the chimney constructions in one of the buildings. And XY Company, we knew that for sure there was one building there, knew the shape of that and how that was structured as well. So that all got reconstructed. We also, in putting that together, created a Indian village. No historical evidence that there was one there. Pretty good idea that there was one close by, not necessarily where we have it located. But working with the tribe, we knew what that would have been shaped like, what kinds of things would have been in that small community. So that whole operation got going. The Historical Society said, well, what do we do here? So this building used to sit on an island up at the end of Gunflint Trail in the Boundary Water. It was taken apart, numbered, even the 2-sided fireplace. Numbered, labeled, brought down here. I think the DNR bought it for $1. And we paid rent of $1 a year. I think we passed it. Anyways, and then it was reconstructed, refurbished as 5,000 square feet. So it's a nice building to work with. Yeah.
Who paid that, who reconstructed it? Did the DNR do that too?
No, a whole group of volunteers who have photos.
Thank you. See, that's their team. Yeah, it was a great, I mean, it was a whole conglomeration of folks that helped put it together. And we still, it's not, as many of you know who might have buildings that you operate out of that have history, it is always a maintenance challenge. Logs rotting and that kind of thing. Same thing with what was built on the west. The other buildings, of course, the library, another log structure that was donated by
Palmer. Here's Palmer.
Palmer House. It's the Palmer Library.
But it was a
Palmer Family
resort cabin at Lake Nipsey originally.
Lake Lipsey.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we built behind that a logging museum that the Worsham family had this huge collection of logging tools and stuff, so a lot of that has gone into there. Before that got on site though, the schoolhouse, towards the back part of the property, that was Carlsberg School. It was located about how many miles away?
About
Not many, on Country Road D, which doesn't mean too much.
Was it D or N?
near between Grantsburg area and Grantsburg area, or Holland, that way, right?
So that building was put up on wheels and wheeled to our location. We then took that, it was covered with some kind of clapboard siding, I think. It had siding on the outside. It's a log, it was a log structure, it still is a log structure. So what we did when it came here, we stripped the siding off, took the building apart because of rot issues too, built a foundation for it where it sits. Wasn't historically, the building didn't have a basement. We put a basement in so we could have a climate-controlled place to store artifacts. Really open to the public, but we're working on making that happen. But anyways, so we rebuilt the building, sandblasted it, re-chinked it, re-roofed it, and now we use that building for Christmas at the Fort event as well as doing tours of it. Next to that is a blacksmith shop where during events we have a blacksmith that comes in and does demonstrations. And next to that is the Anderson House, which was again a building that came on the site. As basically a lake resort cottage. So we present that to the public as a cabin with artifacts in there that represent that lodging, the resort era of the county. Sadly,
Excuse me. If any of you are familiar with Jack Swedberg, who's the mortician in Webster, he actually, when he passed, his collection, part of his collection was donated to the fort, so his collection of fishing lures, which is pretty famous if you go into the mortuary there, he gets you in to see them, and that's quite a collection, and that's located in Resort Cabin.
Any questions? Yeah, I'm just about going to wrap here. Questions at all? Historians, and you don't have questions. I wonder. So I'm going to end with a quote that I really like. It's a guiding kind of thing that we at the Tourism Coalition latch on to. It's an important quote for me in terms of how I view life. And it's a quote from Haile Selassie. And this is from a speech that he gave. He was the emperor of Ethiopia. He gave a speech in 1963 to the UN General Assembly. Selassie also was the persons who founded and sort of put together it's called African United Africa. So he was involved with trying to bring African countries together. So his quote: "Until the color of a man's skin," again this is 1963, so forget the man's skin, "is no more significant than the color of his eyes. That until basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, that until that day, the dream of lasting peace and world citizenship and rule of international morality, until then, will remain but a fleeting illusion in the pursuit to a pursuit that will never be attained. So that may sound really strange, but it comes back to the knockback. History is forever. Thank you. Have a great day. Who's up next?
Well, this is when the meeting starts. I don't know who is the leader of the meeting.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
The host.
No, I
The
don't think
host.
so. No, I wasn't at the last meeting either,
Oh.
so I don't know. Typically.
Well, I got more knockdown. Which by their history aren't really fun.
So, and I must apologize, I didn't realize that the agenda had a meeting time of 10:30. I never saw it until when some people came in and said, I thought you started at 10:30. So that's why some people, they weren't late, they just had a different sheet.
I printed up the
But I think, Russ, do you want to?
So, okay, so what we normally do is look at the agenda and then go through it. So we're at call to order. I don't know if anybody did that, but we're in order, right? Okay, the agenda, which you could have picked up over here. Does anybody have any difficulty with the agenda? All right, so we'll approve that. And then the minutes from last time, you got them in email and online, and I guess we didn't print them out. That's okay. Did anybody have any problems with like? I think we did. But the reason that the minutes aren't necessary is because the old business and the new business pretty much cover what we did last time and what's carried over. And so now let's just roll into the old business. So you all know what America 250 is? Yeah, 2 years from now we celebrate the 250th. And so we have been talking about what to do with that, and one of the things that we were talking about is a book about that, which evolved a little bit. There's a book committee of me and you two, is it, from Turtle Lake, and and Tammy, I guess. And as far as I know, the book progress is still not in progress.
We made some progress and then it kind of stuck.
Yeah, well, we're all using the excuse that once the season, the summer museum season is over, we're going to get right hard at it.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's the excuse, yeah. So, and actually, we had evolved this, I remind you, we had evolved it to be a showcase for all of the museums. So for instance, we had these chapters lined out like early history or Native Americans or logging and so forth. And our strategy has kind of evolved to say, okay, we're going to ask if a railroad buff is looking at our book, she or he can look into this book and say in the railroad chapter at the Frederick Museum is all devoted, or a lot of it's devoted to the railroad, whereas at the Cushing Museum there's just about nothing to do with railroads and so on, so that a railroad buff can use that as a guide. That's kind of our latest thought, if anybody gets, and the route we were going to use is send out questionnaires to each thing and say, okay, if somebody's interested in logging and they come to your museum, what you got? What's the history of your area? Is there any logging history in your area? There are a few paragraphs on that, and then what you got to show them, and do you have some expertise or something like that? So that's where we left it, and we'll probably really soon now start right up again, right?
Right, and it's going to be kind of a promotion of all of our museums and what we have in relation to all these chapters. This is something we put together one time, I don't know how long ago our chapters
And so you'll see the committee sending out to you a questionnaire about each chapter that we developed that says, okay, you know, tell us about your artifact or your Native American information or exhibits or area on that. Yes, Tammy, you're on the committee, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good.
So,
I can't remember.
besides the promoting your museum, the whole idea of it originally was that people are going to want to get a copy of this book because it's going to kind of chronologically go through the history of Northwest Wisconsin. So that kind of, I mean, each museum will have the opportunity to say, hey, here's what we have on that. But there's still the story of this is our history. So
Yeah.
it's something that people will want for that reason too.
We just got a submission from the Luck Museum telling a few paragraphs about the overview of something. I put it in our file, but anyway, so we are getting a little information in.
I think it was logging history.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. I had
Either
one,
that or railroad.
it was something like that. I had one of the volunteers help out.
Okay, so the, so we're gonna say it in the, oh, is anybody taking minutes?
I am.
Oh, great, okay. So, in the book progress, we're gonna say, wonderful, okay?
All right, moving along. Everybody activate.
Ideas for joint events, and we have had some ideas. Group tours, bus tours.
Russ,
Oh, yes.
could I ask a question?
No!
That was the question.
All right.
My question was, does anybody have a list of the chapters, the latest?
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
like.
Sure, we can re-mail that out again if you'd like.
Okay.
So put that on the agenda that Russ says we'll mail out the list of chapters.
And I'm writing it down too, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, I won't remember that. Okay,
Thank you.
so ideas for joint events. So a joint event is where several museums or historical societies get together to do something. For example, the 19th Annual River Road Ramble coming up includes the Grantsburg Historical Society on the north end at Grantsburg, and they have you have a bunch of activities planned up there at
Well,
the
we're
museum?
we're open for anyone that wants to see our museums, and we're serving coffee and cookies, and we will have the maps for those that start
Yeah.
at Grantsburg and go to St. Croix
yeah.
Falls, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that called again?
The 19th Annual River Road Ramble, St. Croix River Road Highway 87 Ramble. But anyway, and then on the middle of it is the Cushing Museum, where you can tour the obsolete media lab. And on the south end, the St. Croix Falls Historical Society usually joins us. They had a change in, what do you call it?
Venue?
Yeah, people that are in charge of it. Yeah. When you're starting Alzheimer's, you miss the words that you're trying to say, and so that's a key. You should watch for that in your friends. Okay. Anyway, so that's a joint activity. If they said they were having a meeting last night and would tell us today. So that's an example of a joint activity that 3 museums do. And so for historical buffs, you can hit 3 of them that are open and have something going on that day. The idea was like group tours, bus tours, a grant for a JEM grant was sort of a tourism grant, sponsorships, partnerships. So I suppose we are allowed to talk about any more ideas of some group things that we'd like to do.
I wanted, on that group tour, there's a history group over by Green Bay that they are coming to our museum like the 3rd of October, I think. They're bringing 54 people because that's how many the coach bus holds. But they do twice a year, they take a group and they go to local history things. They're going up into the northern Minnesota, and then we're on their way back. It's a 3-day trip. They are charging the people $500 a piece. He said, even with renting the coach bus, we usually make $5,000 to $6,000 to benefit our historical So I know we've talked about this, and I know our museum is getting closer and closer to jumping on it too, because we've been wanting to do it. But I think that this group really should think about that. When they come, he and I are going to sit down and talk more about how they do it. They're gonna spend, I think, 2 hours and eat dinner at our museum, and then they're gonna head out, because they hit a lot of places in those 3 days.
They go to just the museums?
I'm gonna find out, I'm not sure, no, I don't think so, because he also mentioned going to like a farm deal, that a tourist-based farm. So I don't know at all. Yeah, and I think they've gone to aquariums, and, no, not a 1,000 cow farm, it'd be more of a, I'd call it a boutique farm, maybe, that specializes in, I don't know, I didn't ask him details about it, but I know that they have gone to some of those, like maybe that specializes in sheep and is processing the wool into, something like that. So I think that there's a variety of things, but I think it's history-based.
Tammy, could I put you on the agenda to report back on what you find out about that tour?
Sure.
So, it's not just joint events that we should maybe be thinking about, but sort of like coordinated efforts. I'll give you an example. We had a display a couple weeks ago for our Cushing Fun Days on town ball in Cushing. Cushing, the little town, but it took baseball quite seriously, and for something like 80 years had a baseball team, and we have a whole probably 30, 40 trophies in our museum that they had won of state championships and that. And I was thinking that most of the towns in our area did have that baseball. And it brought into our museum a bunch of different people that otherwise we probably wouldn't have had just because of that. But I was thinking it would be nice to say, all right, you all probably have some ball team. I know Grantsburg did. If we got pictures of it, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, to have us sort of try coordinating something, saying, okay, maybe the month of whatever is baseball month, we could have all of us have some display on some common topic. Baseball was just an example because we did that.
Question, what did Bruce and Cameron, was that basketball, football?
Oh, there was a traveling trophy. There was an Evans area in both cities, and back in the 30s, they started a
Basketball.
Basketball.
The cream
Yeah.
camp.
The cream
And they,
So I've been thinking like us and Bruce should do something like that, but there are probably we're all close enough that other communities also
have the rivalries.
competed and.
Yeah. But it's just some theme. It's like what we're trying to think about for America 250. We're going to try to figure out something coordinated that we do, and we could do that maybe on other level. The other part of this, I had been thinking, it's a dangerous thing when you have retired and have time to think, that you, not just joint events, but we might want to develop a list of experts that, you know how we all have somebody come in and do a spinning or weaving or whatever. For instance, today I introduced Pam, some director or something like that of this group, to Dave Screppi over there, who's a flint knapper, and they were looking for one up here. And Dave's in a rock club that we belong to. And anyway, he's a flint knapper who has been doing demonstrations quite regularly, right, around the area. And then we had a talk in Luck several years ago by one of the people there who does beading. She's part Native American and did beading, and she came in and showed us her. But yeah, bison skull with all beaded up and everything, and that list of experts that we could maybe use if we were doing something. I know Brenna had a group of that included like a soap maker and a whole bunch of different skills like that we would probably be interested in some of the rest of us sharing that information. So that was just another thing that we might develop as a common resource that we could have. Does anybody else got any things that I'm old enough to remember joint parties, but
Joint what?
that was different of it. Yeah. Okay. Sponsors and partnerships. Do you all have a way of enticing people to sponsor? I know Luck has quite a few sponsors for their newsletter and other things like that. How do you get those?
You ask.
You beg, right?
No begging, asking.
Asking?
There's a difference. There's a difference, yeah. Actually, Edward Jones' office in Luck sponsors our newsletter 4 times a year, which means they help pay for the paper and postage, which is actually, it's nice, very nice. We have grocery store, 2 grocery stores, one in Luck and one in Osceola, that actually help us with, for instance, the paper goods and some of the makings for our Appelskever, and West Denmark helps us with the Appelskever mix every year for our Appelskever event in July. I mean, we still end up paying out quite a bit of money, but it helps. Every little bit helps, and you simply ask them. I've sent emails to the 2 grocery stores, and they're very obliging. And it's normally somewhere around $100 to $200 that they give us.
Do you give them credit then?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
They're on the Facebook page.
They're on the Facebook page, they're on our website, they're in our newsletter, and also after the event, I will send a personal thank you to the entities that have provided us with, whether it's gift certificates or whatever they have. It's, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Jan's got something.
I was
That's good talk.
we send out a letter every May, we call it our May membership letter, but we also recruit major donors through that process. And we send out, our membership letter goes not just to members, but also to potential members, to area businesses. It's been quite successful. We've got 3 levels of major donors. We've got a silver level, which is $350. Gold level is $500. Platinum is $1,000 or more. And we just got one in for $10,000. I'm shocked, but that is also going to be to create a little memorial bench in our park. But these donations, they can say if they want to, just the general operations basically, or they can go to one of our specific activities. For example, we're creating a historical park up there. I'm with Gordon Wascott Historical Society. We're creating an Amic historical park at the site of Antoine Gordon's trading post. And it's also the site of one of the Ojibwa Indian villages. So we've just gotten the Wisconsin Historical Marker approved, and so we're looking for donations. And if we have a specific thing like that, people are more inclined to jump in and to want to donate. And then, of course, we recognize them. But our major donor program has worked quite nicely for us. How do you recognize them? Well, for one thing, for example, we just had an appreciation reception up there at our depot. We had live music and wine and hors d'oeuvres and drops on the grill, and we gave a little presentation, and we said their names, and one got a plaque of appreciation for all that he's done over the years, and we put their names on our Facebook and website pages. And then also in our historical park, we're going to be having a brick, an engraved brick for each one of our major donors in that. Yep. So they do get some recognition, and we do news articles and that kind of thing where we try to recognize their contributions as well. But for us, that's good.
One of the interesting things when you visit a museum is to look around and see how they do recognition. So for example, if you look over here on the wall down there, you'll see that in 2007, my was recognized as the Volunteer of the Year, right? 2007, yes. And so I was going to say that's quite a nice, yeah, that's quite a nice recognition of your own staff. And so when you see that, you also see out on the entryway the list of donors and you know, the names in there, and that. So all of that helps make it so that the public sees, recognizes the same people that we do.
So about 8 years ago, one of our volunteers said, how about if I ask some businesses to sponsor different buildings? Because if you've been to the Pioneer Village, you know there's a lot of buildings. So he was going and asking them for like $100 to $200 a year to sponsor the building and get their name on a plaque. Well, since then, we kind of did that on steroids, and now we've got somebody that does that for us as a job, and he brings in about $35,000 a year. It's not, but it's expanded. It was, we call it the plaque program because they were getting their name on a plaque. But, and we still have that, and that has grown in itself, but he's, because now he's doing it as a job, and he's an independent contractor, so we don't pay him on a base, you know, he makes so much a month, whatever he does. But anyway, now he gets, like what Rachelle was saying, that the business sponsors to donate specific things. And he was doing kind of what you're saying, getting some major sponsors, although he's not maybe the best at getting major sponsors. But specific, like, okay, we have this event, it's going to cost us $3,000 for sleighs for our Christmas event. He'll go get a couple sponsors that would cover that. Anyway, it has paid off, and it really, because of how it was set up, it really, at first it was just, if you give over this amount, we'll give you some money. But it's grown to now he knows he can count on X amount of dollars in a year coming from us, but it has definitely, wasn't a risk thing for us. So no matter what size you are, if you started out like that, you don't have to worry about that's coming out of our meager budget, and it's pretty guaranteed, and because it's easier every year, because once they've done it, they expect to do it again the next year. And it does work out very well. And I anticipate that if he ever stops doing that, we could, with not a ton of effort, we could continue that relationship with all of those sponsors without us investing, you know, lots of time and energy and cost.
And I think also you guys, what Tammy was saying, if you focus on people who are passionate about a certain thing and asking for a donation, so let's say, for example, our dentist office needs some work in the museum. Hit up the dentist in town, say, you know what, we need funding to repaint the roof or redo whatever. And if they're passionate about it, they might do that, you know? So I was thinking about the schoolhouses. If you hit up the Retired Teachers Association, they might be willing to donate because they're passionate about that. So you can look at it like that too.
One of the, or I guess we're in the attraction business, aren't we? Attracting money and attracting visitors. Those are our two biggest problems.
And attracting volunteers.
Yeah, that's right. Attracting volunteers.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what we all worry about. My most successful way of attracting members and volunteers is we do things like reunions of some local group, and then try to see if we can't convince some of them, the people involved, to help put it on. And of course, it's always potluck, so we don't worry about cost. And then get some of those to stay in as volunteers. This summer, our reunion was Polk County had a teachers college from 1904, it was built, until 1971. It ended up in Frederick. And we had, I think maybe 15 folks is all we got out, but these are people in their 70s and 80s that last graduated in 71 from there. And a few of those we recruited into our membership and that, and plus that we had a lot of fun doing it. And we've done that with school reunions, local town reunions, things like that. And we have all these really small communities, and that seems to be one way. You do something that the people are interested in, and then they'll help you out, and then you kind of keep them on if you can. So what else? We're just discussing, I guess we're in general here on the old business. Maybe we've moved in. Okay, let's move on to Brenda telling us about the passport program.
I have nothing except if you have updates, if you want to be included, just send information to me. I'm sort of the de facto IT person, so I send out all of the updates since I have the somewhat updated list. So if you want your email to also be included to like get these notifications, just let me know. I'm trying to keep it to just specific historical society email addresses, because if I get too many personal email addresses, then people drop off the face of the earth, their email bounces back and all that jazz, and it's way too much to keep track of. So you can stick to just your historical society email addresses and then disseminate from there, that works. But yeah, if you have anything else, if you want to be included in our local passport program, just send them my way.
What we really should do next year is, if we continue the passport, is put some publicity in like the local newspapers or something that says, you know, this summer if you visit 6 museums or something like that in the Northwest Wisconsin, you can win a valuable prize. I don't remember what our valuable prizes are. Anyway, so.
If we've been in the program, we need to renew it.
Unless something changes, you know, but I think it's pretty much just your historical society name, your address, what did I put down? Phone number,
probably
website, and then I think if there was an admission fee, I think otherwise I put, you know, all admission is free unless otherwise stated, so.
What's your email address?
The email is director@polkcountymuseum.org.
So, and after the beginning, after the first of the year, you'll send out the new.
Yep, an updated one if anything's changed, otherwise I'll just let everybody know that.
And then everybody can print off their own.
Yep, yeah.
So let's move on. Okay,
I have an
here.
update.
What?
I have an update for
Oh,
your
okay.
digitization project. So, let me zoom in on my picture. So Janet Seymour emailed me and she wanted to just have me pass this on. Okay. I'm writing to you all because in one way or another you interact with the public who might be interested in getting materials duplicated or digitized by the microfilm department at WHS. John Friend, the microfilm lab supervisor, retired on July 31st of this year. So with his retirement, the digital services section will be enacting a moratorium on all new microfilming projects. During the moratorium, WHS will not be taking on new projects so that the existing projects can be completed. Secondly, the moratorium will allow WHS the time to develop project MOUs for all existing work to ensure that all parties have a shared understanding of the expectations of outstanding projects. I will include the full moratorium below. Effective August 1st, John Friend, microfilm lab supervisor, retired from Wisconsin Historical Society. Yeah, blah, 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 what I said. Moratorium on not all new external requests for microfilm digitization and duplication work until a new supervisor is hired. Duration, August 2024 to January 2025. Although I guess if they don't hire anybody, then that will probably be extended. The scope of activities affected include new requests for digitization of microfilmed newspapers, archival collections, and library materials, new requests for the duplication of microfilm, new requests for the creation of new microfilm reels. Yeah, I'll forward this to you, yeah. Digital services will prioritize the completion of previously committed and paid work, including federal grant work, outstanding reference requests, and internal requests. During this moratorium, they'll reevaluate and refine workflows, technology, and staffing for the microfilm lab. And then there's an email address for somebody who had, for anybody who has questions. So there's your answer, Russ. It's-
I had sent it off and gotten really, a couple of people I sent it to said, yes, we wish that it would go forward too, but it isn't, so. So we'll switch over to Grantsburg and say, how's your project coming?
It's slow,
Yeah,
very slow.
but you are moving ahead a little?
A little, not a lot.
Is it volunteer time?
Yes, yes, it's all volunteer. Yeah.
So, yeah, so if we could find you a volunteer, maybe it would.
Yes, definitely. If you know a volunteer, yes.
Yeah. For those of you who don't remember, Grantsburg actually bought a microfilm digitizing machine that was supposed to be kind of automatic. You put the microfilm in, and an hour later, 15 minutes later, it's all done and you're out. But it turns out that it didn't work that way, and you have to manually line up each image of each page of the newspaper. So instead of marvelously easy, fast, it's tedious. And, but the machine is there, and so those of us who'd like to have a little experience on one of those machines might volunteer to come up to Grantsburg.
Yes, definitely.
Come over to Grantsburg and then try it out too. So I think maybe I'll try that this winter when I don't have anything to do. It's quite interesting.
I don't know what year that was.
Yes. Well, it's you always hope that things go just automatically.
Yeah, we had high hopes,
Yeah, disappointed when
because
you find out
the way they came across, it was nothing to it, but
that.
it's got to be done right at the other end for it to work.
Yeah.
That's what we ran into.
Yeah. So anyway, the digitizing thing on microfilms is sort of all dependent on Grantsburg right now. As soon as we get them through their microfilms, then we can start on ours.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. What comes next? Grants. Did not get this far in the April meeting.
I didn't change that from last time.
Oh, can we apply for grants as a consortium and grant writing and training sessions? The question was, not being a 501c3 organization, can we do it ourselves, or would we have to do it under one of the historical societies? And Tammy had graciously volunteered Barron as the funnel for every grant we wanted to write, right?
It could be done that way, but everybody would have to work on their, someone would have to work on the grant itself. But from what I remember from what Julie Fox told us, correct me if I'm wrong, but when she came to Luck, when we had our meeting there, what I heard her say was that we don't have to be our own 501c3 or nonprofit to apply for those grants, that the consortium could apply, but it would have to come specifically from one of the organizations. But we didn't have to formalize it in order to do that. I don't know if that's for all grants or if that was just the Wisconsin tourism grants, like the GEM grant.
Yeah. My guess it would probably be any grant that's in any amount of money, because they all look for the 501c3 thing. And you said you would do it, you'd be the umbrella for that at only 10% of the grant money?
Yeah, that was
That sounds like a good deal.
So I guess the thing is do we have some interest in trying we have to have a project to do that we want to fund. And so that's you start with what is it you want the money for, and then you figure out where to ask for it.
Is that to publish our book? I was just
Yeah, the publishing a book is really not very expensive on Amazon.
Doesn't matter, it's still.
Yeah, we can do that.
I guess it would depend too on the parameters what are they funding?
Well, we really need to come up with what we want.
But,
Yeah.
so maybe since we don't have one, maybe, you know, we shouldn't put the cart before the horse. If we had a project, which we've talked about some different things, but if we had a project, we could go forward with that. But this kind of leads into Diana is thinking that we should formalize. I personally don't want to go through all of that, but did you want to?
I just asked the question, I mean, we're doing a lot of things for everybody, we're all doing a lot of things, and if you take, you know, we could be open for grants and stuff, I mean, we could do
Well,
C3.
Another thought is the next thing on here, Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council, we joined that. That's how we're able to put those tours on, the Clio tours. And maybe we should get more involved in that group because they did just become a 501c3 because there were things they wanted to do. And so we are, you know, because of us all joining together, we are a large part, even though we have not done anything with them, we are still a big chunk of their membership because there were so many of us. We're probably actually could be the controlling part of it we wanted. Not that I would suggest that at all, because I like what they're doing and I think we just want to get on board with it. But if we want to do things like that, maybe we should start going to some of their meetings.
So we did join them, correct?
We did join.
As a consortium?
As a consortium.
Yep. I remember we had that $107 left from.
So yeah, do we need to,
So we took that money and paid it to them.
did they give us like a deal for this year though? Because I thought she
They
said
did.
something about next year it would be each individuals. Yeah, okay.
What's the cost then?
It's $100, and I'm wondering, okay, I should wait till we get to that.
Okay,
but,
all right.
Yeah, let's wait till we get to that. 'cause I-
That was the thing she was talking about when she presented to us down at
Yep,
your place.
yep.
I guess personally, I think
I took
normalizing
notes at the time.
isn't high on my list of items here, just because I think that's a lot of extra work, and I think it sounds like if you can't get together to publish a book, and get a questionnaire together, no offense, because we all have everything to do. I don't think it's worth it to sit and try and formalize and do all that work when, yes, we still meet quarterly, and I think that's great, but I don't think it needs to be formal, and I think if we are already part of that, and if we continue to be part of that individually next year, then yes, if we have something, yeah, we can control it, we can tell them what we want, what we want them to write grants for, but,
So another thought on that is, I kind of think that we should talk to them about, because a lot of these organizations are really small and you're probably never gonna do a Clio tour, which is what we wanted to be in it for. But there are other advantages of being part of it. All of northern Wisconsin in one big history organization. We could do a lot of things. We could lobby the state for things. We have one Wisconsin Historical Society property in the northern 2/3 of the state. One. You know, we could lobby for things. So, but I think we should talk to that group and see if instead of all of us purchasing one, I mean, we would purchase one individually. But a lot of ones that are not able or wanting to put that kind of $100 can be a lot in some budgets. Maybe they would let us do,
A consortium on the consortium.
and make more than $100. Yeah, more than $100 fee. That
I was wondering if they have in that consortium, like professional grant writers or people that can instruct on how to do that. I look at our groups and think we're all kind of small, and it would be nice if we had some people with that kind of expertise to assist us for writing a grant for our individual thing.
So when you say it's a lot of work to formalize together, do you mean it's a lot of paperwork, is it a lot of research work, is it something one person can do?
I mean, I guess you could do it, but it's paperwork, it's getting everything like
annual report,
stuff with the IRS.
I think my purpose for bringing it up was the fact that we don't have a standardized minutes and stuff, that if we have old business, we need to come back to it. We never settled anything. I would just be happy if we had a formalized meeting minute agenda that we follow and we work on things until it's closed. And if we have new business, we have new business, and we work on that until we close it. So that's really all I care about with this today. Just so we know that, like, because that's when I brought up the passport program and all that, we weren't talking about it. And we never closed it, and I said, so where are we with it?
But we already did it, I don't know why.
I guess I left this stuff, some of this stuff, so I did this because I sent everything out, so if anybody else wants to take it on, let me know. But I took this agenda, I based it on what I use for our Polk County Historical Society agenda. So anything that's old business is considered something that either is just standing business, like this American 250 project, until 2026, then it would be removed. But
Continuing business.
yeah, so either old business and or standing business, right, like the passport program. The digitization project will likely be removed by December because that's done. You know, things like that. So old business for the last, I don't know, what, 3 meetings or so, it's largely been the same because we do continuously talk about this stuff. But I do keep things updated in terms of new business, so that's what I've been doing in terms of like standardizing. So if this works for everybody, I can just keep doing it this way. I can change old business to just repeat business. I don't know.
Understand what that
Yeah.
is. We use continuing business.
Yeah, continuing business, old business, yeah, so.
So Diana has a very analytical mind.
I can't help it.
I
One part of
would
my
like-
brain where there's no plaque yet.
So maybe a discussion between the two of you so that you guys are, because I don't think the rest of us really care that much how it's worded on the agenda.
I just have an issue or a problem with something that I think, well, we're still working on that, are we done with it?
We think works in progress. Works in progress.
Yeah.
So new work. So I do want to say this. I really appreciate Diana taking the minutes because she does such a thorough job. And before that, we didn't have that. Russ tried.
Oh.
Russ tried. And his funny and fabulous, but I do like the structure you give us. And I also really appreciate Brenna taking on the sending out agendas.
Yes. Well, Brent and I will work together.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, if we could just get someone to take over running the meetings,
No.
then we'd be in good shape.
I think we found someone.
No, I was telling somebody here that I only do things and nobody else will do them.
Well, here's an idea. How about whichever?
Let's move on. Brenna wants your updated contacts.
Can I just add
This
one more
sheet that
thing?
went around here.
Hey, wait, Russ.
I just want to add one
Oh,
more
yeah,
thing.
sure.
Can we all agree on, if you want to, that whoever is sponsoring the meeting, like we're doing it next month, that we're responsible for talking to Fran about the agenda and running the meeting?
That's
That's how it's
supposed to be.
always
Right.
So,
think so.
do we agree with that?
Yes.
So Amory is next, so we'll let you guys
So,
get
I mean,
it.
Siri, tell me, does that make sense that whoever is hosting the meeting is responsible for getting the agenda out
That's the way it's always
That's-
been.
and running the meeting?
That's the way it's always been, Diana.
Okay. Well, nobody did it. Who said who's running the meeting? So
Well, maybe got lost in the.
Yeah.
But sometimes new groups come in and they're
Right,
not
no, I
aware.
know, but somehow we
Yeah.
need to let them know that if they're gonna host it, this is
So
what
maybe
you're
what
responsible
we need
for.
is someone to just write
So
that out, understanding.
We've got,
Understanding this is how we do it.
and the next one is at Amory in what, November maybe?
December.
December. And then I don't think we've set anything for next year.
Amory, December.
Well, let's finish up that Wisconsin Heritage
That's right.
discussion.
Wait, what about the grant writing
Oh,
training
grant
session?
writing.
Did we do anything with that?
Well, we discussed that until we have a need
Okay,
for money, we would probably wait.
okay. I thought you meant for our own groups, that was an idea.
Well, I don't know.
Well, do you
guess
think
it's-
the Wisconsin Heritage Council might have?
Well, that's
Maybe we could do that if we did
Maybe.
our next conference.
Or maybe at our mini conference.
Yeah,
we
mini
got
conference,
somebody. Yeah.
Do you think we could get somebody from the Wisconsin Heritage Council to come and talk with this group?
I mean, we did it in
Did?
April, so we can do it.
6 months
we can
ago.
do it again.
I must have missed that.
At the mini conference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I missed that, I'm sorry.
It's online.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe, because we do need to get to be more involved with them, so we could maybe do something.
Do you know when and where they meet at the Heritage Council?
I know that the main one is Eagle River, so it's a long ways from us.
Yeah.
But I can talk with Karen, and she'll be, maybe she's not this time. She always comes to the state conference, but I think she's having a surgery and is not going to be attending.
So maybe you're gonna find out when your next meeting is.
Sure.
So, we're moving into the end of the old business. One other question I've got, how many of you attend the Wisconsin Historical Society annual meeting? It's like in October or something like this.
I did not get this year, but I have gone.
I have in the past, but not this year.
Yeah. They used to have them.
They're going.
Yeah, they used to have them in regions, so they would have one up here, and then we didn't have to drive so far to go see it. And
So I've been on that board for the last 6 years, so I time out this year, and I am suggesting Brennan to be a candidate for that, if she's interested. We are in the process of reorganizing. It has been suggested that it just be a committee of the Wisconsin Historical Society board of, I don't know what it is. I'm not in favor of that. I would like to see it continue. And then the deal with that is that every 2 years, you need a regional meeting, which I had proposed we do more often because there's training done at those. And that's the one you don't have to travel for. It's usually a half a day at some local history organization. And in your, I think we have 6 regions in the state, and then a couple of floaters. And because ours came up during COVID, and the gal that was doing it didn't want to hold one during, which there's a 2-year period. I don't know why at that time we couldn't hold something, but she didn't want to. And then following that, now we've been supposed to have one, and she is also at the end of her 6 years, and so I think that it's probably not going to happen again. So that means that we have not had one. The last time there was one in this area was at the Pioneer Village, and that was probably about, I wasn't even on the board, so that was probably about 7 years ago. So unfortunately,
What's the name of that organization again?
it's not an organization. Well, it's the Wisconsin Council of State and Local History.
It's kind of a subsidiary.
It's the affiliate members. Okay, the Wisconsin Historical Society is a state thing.
Yeah.
And all of our organizations are, by virtue of being part of the state organization, we are members, we are affiliate members of the Wisconsin Council for State and Local History. So that group we have failed to let people know who we are and what we do. And so people don't see the value of it. And we can't charge, by the bylaws, we can't charge a membership fee, so we don't have any money to do mailings. And it's hard, you know how hard Brenda was saying, how hard it is to have an email list. So it's like our hands are tied, which is why we're reorganizing. And so the only solution they seem to be able to come up with is, okay, we dissolve and just become a committee on this other deal. I would like to hear from you guys, and I've asked you this at this meeting before. What can we do for you? How can we be more effective? Do you want this organization? Because we really have no say with the Wisconsin Historical Society. I think this is an important group, but I do think it needs to restructure. And I think it's only going to happen by input from the member organizations, which we can't contact because we don't have a way to do it. So it's really frustrating. But
do you guys have a website? Just out of curiosity.
We do not even have a website, because they're like, how can we do a website when everybody's busy, doesn't have time to do a website, and we don't have any money for it anyway.
I mean, you can do, yeah, like you can do like a free or like
Wix
really,
or
yeah,
something.
links, but, and I know obviously they'll try to like upgrade and all that, but like, you can always, again, it's also a time thing, but if somebody had the time, I'm not volunteering, but if somebody had the time, they could yeah, you could develop a really quick website, but then share it or connect it to your, like, your own organization websites to drive people there, and then you can have that link in there that says, you know, please, if you would like to be involved, if you would like to share your comments, whatever, and then just have a link in there that says, like, put in your information, and, you know, like, so that way you can get email contacts and things like that. I mean, it's not ideal, but.
This isn't a criticism of that, but can you make a suggestion of how we let everybody know that if we were able to get this website up?
I would say it's basically
we could do
through
that.
your, like, if you start sharing it through your social media, and then you share it with us, all of us share it through our own social media, and, you know, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because, yeah, like, otherwise, yeah, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna try and, like, Google every single historical society in, you know, whatever range area, and then you're just.
They already have those
exist.
lists.
Yeah.
Every year we get a reminder to file our annual reports and things like that.
And
So-
they will share that with us, but,
And then you
we really
can
get a low
share.
response rate when we email.
And you can share with the Wisconsin Historical Society too, theoretically, right? I mean, they do like to share updates, so.
And put it on the, like, the list share.
Yeah.
Tammy, did you say that there's bylaws for that council?
There are bylaws.
Could I get a copy of those and read through them?
Sure.
Tammy, having been on that council for 6 years, what do you think how do you think it should be structured? What would your
I
recommendation?
think we should, and they always have a reason to not do all these things. One is, the Wisconsin Historical Society does have a list of a speakers bureau, but if you look at that list, because we've tried to get people from it, a lot of times they're low expense, you know, low cost, but you have to pay their travel and overnight stays. We can't afford that up here. We're too far from Madison and Milwaukee. I think we need lists that are more local. We are able to get really great speakers to come for us that really haven't cost us hardly anything or nothing. They've been free. I think that we need to maintain a list of that. I think we need to let our members, first of all, we need to be really receptive to what you guys are saying you need. Like Russ has been organizing obsolete media lab and has offered it to all of us to use things there. Maybe that needs to be done regionally. Things like that, I think that would really help the organizations. We just aren't
And stay
using
as
it.
a council.
Yeah, I think it should stay as a council, but I think we should have at least annual meetings instead of biannual. They're just doing it for when you have to vote for, that's a minimum of biannual, because you have to vote for a new representative. And so 7 years ago, when it was at ours, that's how I became, but I don't have a region, I'm a floater, that's why I can't organize our meeting. I'm just the, what do you call it, at large. I'm at large. I'm the vice president, but I'm at large. And so I don't have any way of doing that. I've asked Sherry, and who is our person, but I can't do it myself. That would be kind of undermining her. So I just think we need more voice in it and to find out what it is. And we've talked about, let's send something to every organization and have them tell us what they want. But we don't have the money to do that. So we need to do that. I said, why don't we all just call all the organizations in our area, which is easy for me to say because I'm an at-large and I don't have an area. I did offer to help. But everybody's like, no, we're too busy. We don't have time to do that. And we don't have all the phone numbers.
How many people are like on the council?
I think that there's about a dozen.
Okay.
I think.
So
And then
we
technically
need
it's
to
a
kind of move ahead here. The whole thing with our relationship with the Wisconsin Historical Society is what, from my point of view, is what can we get from them so we don't have to be totally independent on our efforts. And I guess that's my view of it. And
From the
Wisconsin Historical Society and the Wisconsin, the local, you know, like Jen.
Council for Local History.
Yeah, and those two things, how can we make use of the information because essentially we don't, or at least I don't, our group doesn't. Is there something that we can do?
I think that this group, our consortium, is doing what that group should be doing.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which now, is it, I gotta ask, what time did you expect us to have lunch?
Well, according to the program, it said 12:30.
12:30, so we've got
Earlier
approximately
would be
an hour.
fine too, but
Okay.
I gave it 2 hours.
Yeah, so we've got an hour yet that we can discuss, so, okay, no problem.
So between now and December, that group is deciding what the future of that group is. So this is very timely. If you guys can today give me feedback, there's still time to, there's 4 of us that are trying to save it. And we have to give them a good plan by, when we go to Appleton, we have a meeting before the annual meeting that everybody attends. So we meet all afternoon, and we have to give them that plan by then. So basically, we have a month to come up with some kind of a plan. We've all been submitting our ideas, but honestly, if you guys feel that this is important and have things you'd like to see from it, whether it's the things I had suggested or if you have completely different ideas, now would be the time to let me know.
So just as a curiosity, what happens if they dissolve it and it becomes just like a committee? Like, do you still get to be on it, involved? Or
One person gets to go to the Board of Curators meetings.
Oh.
It's one person.
Do you just like rotate, or is it just
It's
one
the president.
Oh. And that's it, and then they just report back?
Which
to
they
you?
offered me that, and I turned it down, and I kicked myself after, because I didn't know they were talking about dissolving at the time.
Yeah.
And,
so does the president just stay the president? Like, that's what I mean, because like if it's just now, it's just part of.
no, we would meet as, or they, because I won't be part of it, they will meet as a committee,
Okay.
and then they'll send him, or whoever it is, to the Board of Curators.
So let me make sure I have it clear. So between now and December, what you need is a report from us on what the plan, you think the plan should be.
I need your ideas. It doesn't have to come as a report. It can just be somebody saying, hey, how about this? This would be something of value to our organization.
And you need it in a month.
An idea, I mean, we talked about wanting to get speakers because they're all from so far away. I think a lot of us have ideas of people in the local area. Maybe our local groups could suggest, talk to some people, see if they really would be willing. And we could compile a list of experts in the variety of topics just in our consortium area.
Local Speakers Bureau and topics.
Whether,
what I hear you say.
whether it's people that are really good with technology or history or logging or Native Americans or contact somebody at LCO, who knows? It seems like we should have enough experts up here if we ask around tactfully, maybe we can, and offer them something that it's not like you have an overnight and all that travel.
But why couldn't, if they have this list of speakers from that part of the state, why couldn't they expand the list?
They could, they haven't.
Right.
They don't have the inclination to. They're getting.
So that would be a need, that would be something.
That's something maybe we shouldn't lay on to them, just do it ourselves, because
well, but
we already
looking
know.
for ideas of what they could do for us.
But you're saying, okay, when you say they, you're talking about, let's just use they to talk about the Council for Local State and Local History. Otherwise, say WHS or Wisconsin Historical, because otherwise I get confused on what you're saying. Because I think you guys are saying the same thing, that more locally, the Wisconsin Council for Local History could be looking for more regional.
Yes.
Well, I belong to a number of organizations, one of them being the Wisconsin State Archaeology and actually Minnesota State Archaeology Society. And there's a lot of events that happen, and I can't attend them because they're all in the southern part of the state. They don't think that there was any history that happened north of 94. I mean, going up north is just on the other side of 94 or whatever. It's crazy. They do programs that I would like to attend, and I asked them to Zoom some of those programs so that I can at least watch them on the computer, and there's some resistance to doing that.
So would you benefit from a event calendar that covered the whole state, but it was listed by regions
Sure.
speakers and events.
Sure.
Yes.
And the ability, yeah, I
And
think
the
there's the
ability
ability to teleconference.
teleconference.
And, you know, as it is, there's a hell of a lot of history that's happened north of, you know,
Well,
29,
happened everywhere.
94. Yeah, it happened everywhere, but, you know, it's kind of like we need to make them aware of what that history is. So, you know, with the museums that we have, that's what kind of our intentions all seem to be, is that we've got all this history and you guys, we need to tell you about it before it's gone. And somehow, half the southern half of Wisconsin needs to be aware that that's happening. So, you know, like, how many of us have newsletters? We don't. You know, we have a Facebook page or whatever, but, you know, we should maybe be sending some of our information to the State Historical Society to see how much stuff is actually happening and how much interest there actually is. I don't know.
Well, because they do that, the Historical Society has said a couple times, like, oh, send us your events and let us know and we'll publish them, but I mean, I think I sent a couple things to them.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't get it in time, but I don't know, I mean, if there's another way for, our information to be published and
A
shared.
newsletter would also be helpful.
Yeah,
You mean the area, you mean the north, from the, from that
Well,
council?
the council, and then it could be covered by regions.
I'm just gonna make a comment that I have some concerns about moving from council structure to a committee structure based on what you're saying and the significant decrease in representation. We don't really know a lot, but it sounds like it would be, I mean, that.
So kind of
That
what
would
the,
help us in getting what we're
kind of what the Wisconsin Council for Local History does. They, we used to fund the mini grant, and now the state has taken, they were helping us with it for a few years, and now we were raising the money by selling raffle tickets at the conference and stuff like that, and it just wasn't effective enough, and so they were helping with it. Now the last few years have been doing it. We helped put on the National History Day, the regional events. What else did we do? Now I'm drawing a blank. We do other stuff. We do the regional conferences, you know, so the regions like what Russ was talking about. I don't know. That's kind of some of the things that we've been doing historically in the past. But it can be redone any way we want it to be, but just to give you guys an idea of what it is, what the history is. So, any other thoughts, things that I could take back to them? Do you think it's of value? Is this something that you would like to see continue?
Sounds like it could be a value.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to know more about it, because now this is first I'm hearing about it. So maybe in December, we can compile what is it, what it is.
Janet Seymour had contacted me and asked me to be on it before I knew what it was. I remember the first conference I went to, I saw their name in the name of the conference. I'm like, who is this group? What do they do? And nobody could answer that question for
So
me.
you're going to answer it for us in December. Thank you, Tammy. I got you written in ink, so.
Well, if it's still around.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes we join things just to put it on their resumes.
Which I just figured because I was new to the history world. I mean, I've always been interested in history, but I was new to the, you know, I just thought that was why I didn't know, but as time went by, I found out it's because nobody really knows.
So let's move on to the, okay, if you have, you all signed in here, and you gave, hopefully you gave the address, email address of your organization rather than your personal one.
Yep.
Okay.
We have no phone number, we have no.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world if you don't have one, it's just mainly because when I first got that email list from, I don't even know who I got it from, maybe it was Russ. or yeah, Tammy, it was like, I sent out an email at one point in time and I got probably like 30 notes back. So I tried, like, if there is a specific dedicated historical society email address, then just give me that, and then whoever gets that can disseminate it out to anybody's personal email addresses. But if you don't have one, I completely understand it's not necessarily worth it to go set up a whole Google account just for like one email address for this that you're then gonna forget to check.
Well, and
So.
we have like a website, like on Facebook, and
Sure.
you know, how
Yeah.
many of how many of you guys have a Facebook page?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we don't have a website, we just have Facebook.
we just
Yeah.
have,
Yeah,
well,
Facebook.
yeah, I mean, does that count as
I try, yeah, so going back to the passport thing, if people don't have a website, I put your Facebook page down, like that kind of
Right.
thing, just so people can still, you know, if they Googled your museum, they could then find it.
Are
But
your Facebook pages private or public?
I'm sorry, say
Are
again.
your Facebook pages public or private?
Public.
It's gotta be public.
Yeah.
We started out with ours as private, but we want to open it up.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you have it private?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if anybody has any contact information that you want added, I'll probably take a picture of the list that Diana has, and I think Mai's list as well, just to make sure. But if there's any contact information that you just want to send to me from your historical society, let me know. I think I've got a pretty good working list, but yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. My phone battery is dead, so what time is it right now?
11:38.
11:30, okay, so we got some time. So, okay, the next part is where each of us get to take a very brief but thorough, maybe, how is our museum season been for each of us this year? And you can start off by saying poor, medium, or good, or great, and then you can say a little bit about what worked or didn't work and what's coming up and that. So I'm going to start to show you how brief it can be.
I don't either.
The Sterling, Eureka, and Lake Town Historical Society, probably the smallest group, smallest one here, had a pretty good season. Our museum was open every Monday this summer, plus a few extra events. We had 5 events that we put on. The 5th one, I should say, is still coming, which I hope to have mentioned already. The 19th annual River Road Ramble. Anyway, and we had a couple of extra volunteers this summer. We are 10% higher on our finances than we were last year. That means $1,000. So that's it. So we're having a good year. We're going to be open all winter long. Next, how about Fred Pope Luxmere? You keep it short now.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Luck Museum, I think we've had a fairly good year. The only thing that we are really looking for more of is volunteers. And I hate to say it, we have, because of the fact that we have a lot less volunteering time, we've actually had to have a few days that we've been closed. I'm only supposed to do part-time, and I'm trying to keep it at part-time because I have, like we all do, your family, and they don't necessarily want you to work yourself into the ground. Over the summer, we've had some very interesting contacts from the general public. We have an anonymous entity, I'm not going to say who it is, who is going to be donating their Ojibwe collection of artifacts to our museum. And it comes actually at a perfect time because the Ojibwe collection that we already have is a private collection that was on loan, and they are taking it back, and it's going to Turtle Lake Museum from what I understand.
No, it isn't.
I'll take it.
Well, it's Phyllis Lowe, and Phyllis Lowe is bringing it to, I thought it had been told to me that it was Turtle Lake.
Nobody told us.
Unless nobody, I don't know.
I'm excited about that.
I don't know. I wasn't there the day she came in, so I don't know. But anyway, she has taken back her things, which is just fine, because they were only on loan. And another entity who we've been waiting for quite, and it was one of those things that we weren't waiting and saying, oh, please now. It's
it's when they are ready to give a donation to us, it's going to replace what we have, which is, it's going to be welcome.
And this will be permanent?
Yes.
Now, are there I mean, do you have to talk to the tribe at all?
No, I do.
Because I thought there was something else.
You cannot put out anything that has to do with their graves.
Okay.
Nothing with funeral, that's the one, and this is not. This is,
Regalia.
yeah. But yeah, no, we're aware of that, and the person who's donating it is quite aware of it. And then, yeah.
Shorten it up.
Okay, Bob. You made me forget what I was gonna say next. Tracks went. We also have a new arch Austin display for the old archery store in the block, which is in our museum. So with that, I'm turning it over to you.
No, we'll go that way.
Oh, okay. John, William?
William Johnson from the Frederick Depot Museum. And we had about an average year, I think, for attendance, but we had a pretty strong year. Our 2 fundraiser events we have both went well. We had a couple of pretty strong donations, consistent donation people. When we have our fundraisers, we get nice checks from them to help offset the cost of stuff that we're doing for that. We have a real good volunteer who every 2 years spends a lot of time scraping paint and repainting things and the exterior of the building. We had a project a year ago that got finished this spring. We've got a 1974 Sioux-Line caboose, and the interior of it was never done in the right color when the Historical Society got it. And we had one of our volunteers last summer and into the first part of this year re-scraped the inside of that and painted it the correct green color for a Sioux-Line caboose. And let me tell you, railroad people know everything that we don't about Sioux-Line stuff. The signal on our outside of our building is an Omaha signal, and people will tell us that it's not a Sioux-Line signal. That's the first thing they'll see. And fortunately, Polk County did have an Omaha branch rail that came up, the line that came up through Turtle Lake and that way through was an Omaha line originally, so it's fairly close. But other than that, we were happy with everything. Went well. We still have an event coming up this fall sometime. We haven't set an actual date for it yet, but the 80th birthday of the Smokey Bear. Everybody's kind of libraries have been playing around that. We know one of the Smokey Bear celebrities from the area, so we'll have them over. Have some event with that, probably in October sometime. There are a couple of fall events coming up on the Candy Dancer State Trail that runs right by our Depot Museum, so we have it open for those things. We help with events like that. And generally, the organizers will make a nice contribution for having the place open for them. So, but other than that, I'm waiting to hear from Clear Lake about the Gaylord Nelson Memorial Highway fundraiser that they're doing. If everybody isn't aware of that, I just caught that in the Spooner Advocate media release a couple weeks ago. I think that's going to be a real interesting project with Clear Lake and getting that higher. Now that Highway 63 has been designated as a Gaylord Nelson Memorial Highway. So nice. Thank you. That's great.
So, all right. Okay, we're ready.
I think not to keep Pam waiting too long, just an update from us.
Oh, okay.
And I was just speaking for the Historical Society, and we're working on digitization, as I think not all you are, and we got money and bought equipment, but it kind of stalled a little bit because of absentee and running into a few other things. But we are working on it. The biggest project we had this year was the resorts project. And the map, there was Roberta and Kathy worked on the resort project. And it was, we have a big map of Burnett County and the listing of the resorts. You're probably better talking about, you know, than I am, but it's now at the public library, and it still continues. We get more information. Resorts we never heard about. It's really been a good one. And the paper wrote up and they said it was a huge crowd at the public library, and it was really, and it was worked out very well. And then the project we're working on now is the bars and tavern of Burnett County.
By the way, they're looking for volunteers to go out to the bars and taverns and do some research, okay?
The Tavern League of Burnett County actually gave $2,500 towards the project. And I just want to mention, you probably know we have a lot of microfilm. Russ knows. We have for 100 years, from the first paper, 1886 to 1986. And of course, it's not digitized, it's a film, so you know, you pretty much have to know what you're looking for and the years. And I think I let Pam talk what happens to the park. But before we give the word to Pam, the boxes you see behind Rochelle there, it's material that's off the books as far as we are concerned. So help yourself.
I did.
It's an ironing board and a spinning wheel without all the parts, and there are a lot of planes. So they're yours if you want to.
Input for you. 3 of those things you mentioned would make great Clio tours. The resorts, I guess it was 2, the bars and taverns. They would both be great Clio tours. That's exactly the kind of thing they're looking for.
Oh, cool.
And you're already working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The resort
Okay.
tour thing, the resort project, that when we did it, we went to the public library in Webster, and Cheryl asked us to come in and do a presentation. And so we said, yeah, we would, and we kind of looked between ourselves and thought, oh, maybe we'll get 10 people. Well, it turned out we got like 50 people, and they in turn went to friends, and it has kind of snowballed. It was really a successful thing for us because we're still getting back information all the time from people that, oh, we traveled here when I was a kid, or my parents owned this resort, then my grandparents owned it before them, and it's just been fascinating to see that information come in. And I grew up in this area. My parents were part of that scene because we owned a sports shop. So for me, it's kind of like Old Home Week, all these people coming from these different resorts and lakes. It's been a lot of fun. So something that can snowball.
Yeah, and then Pam, if you want to tell a little bit about the park. Pam is the director of the Fort Scholar.
I'm Pam Wolf, and I just want to welcome you here today. Thank you for coming and attending this event. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the park's season as it's been. We've been kind of down in our regular tour numbers, but at the same time, all of our events this year have really been well attended. Our last 2 pancake breakfasts, I think, might have been record breakers. You never get enough Wild Rice pancakes. Yeah. We've tried to add a few different events. We have an event starting tomorrow we're hosting a group called the Coalition of Historical Trekkers. Oh. They have changed their bylaws and their annual meeting date so that they could hold their event here this year. They normally meet at a military reenactment site, and this year they wanted to be, at the first time ever, a historic reenactment site. And being it's their national meeting, we have potential of having anywhere from 30 to 50 different camps amongst their group alone. And then some of our regular rendezvous family are going to be coming in as well. Our July rendezvous, of course, is always the big hit of the year. You know, that's what that's kind of what we're known for, is that the July rendezvous and Christmas at the forts. All that other stuff kind of falls in the cracks somewhere. You know? But it's been a good year as far as the revenue and things like that. It's just our tour numbers, for some reason, our regular tour numbers have been down. But I've talked with other businesses in the area, they've noticed a small decline in their tour activity as well. This year was a big relief to me. I was able to hire a part-time maintenance person, and so that's helped with the care of the grounds a lot. Otherwise, I'd have to be done to work at 4 o'clock and then go out and do the grounds work myself. You know, so that's really helped a lot to have that. And like you say, we always are needing volunteers. I don't know, I think we're all starving for volunteers. That's a lost desire for people to want to volunteer. You know, but I just again want to say thank you for coming, and please enjoy your time here today. Look around. I always tell people, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. If I don't know the answer, we'll talk about the weather.
So are we going to move on to Clear Lake here? And is that, or who's next at the table here? Yeah. You're all Clear Lake?
Oh, then just wait till they get.
Tammy's our director. We'll let her talk.
Okay.
All right, Clear Lake. We've had a good year, good season. We were open 2 days a week from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we've been fortunate to have enough volunteers to make that work for us. One of the activities that we have been on our second year of doing is a concert series. A famous builder in our community, Bill Sadler, built a bandstand 101 years ago. And so for the centennial of it, we started, and it was basically, I've been in town since 1977, and there really has never been much of any activity at the bandstand. It's a stone building with a neat little building, but and it's in good shape. So we started the concert series last summer, and we think it would continue this summer. Attendance was not what we wanted, or what we were hoping for. We had some pretty nice acts, but we ended up enough donations to cover it all. It was so financially it didn't cost the museum anything. But we're not certain whether we'll do the third year or not. It was obvious to do it for the centennial and keeping it up 1 year. So it remains to be seen. Now the Gaylord Nelson Highway project is a big deal because, of course, Gaylord Nelson grew up in Clear Lake and was the governor and state senator and U.S. senator and started the Earth Day celebration that everybody participates in. We learned about the fact that Highway 63 from just over Red Wing up to Ashland is the Gaylord Nelson Highway. We were never given like notification or anything like that. It was just kind of discovered by accident. I guess because on your phone now, if you're checking how to get here, it comes up as Gaylord Nelson Highway and US 63.
Yeah, that act was passed in 2009.
See, and why it took that long?
And nobody knows about it.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy. Then, as far as more craziness is concerned, the state will put nothing up to identify the road on their own, but they will allow us to raise the funds to put a sign across the river at Red Wing and one in Ashland, and those signs can be put on the right of way. But every other sign that we want to have, because you're going to miss a lot of people who don't come in from Red Wing or come down from Ashland. All those other signs also have to be fundraised and approved and not put on the right of way of the highway. They have to be put on private property. Can you imagine that situation? So we've got the money raised to put the signs on both ends, and we're going to put in Clear Lake going north and south, there'll be a bigger, more colorful sign explaining a little bit more about his achievements, being governor and senator and stuff like that. And we still have not even got the land. Those again have to be off the right of way. So it's really a complicated project. It just seems to me that if they name the highway that, you would think that the signage could be on the right of way of it, like, you know, but it's not. So that's, where it's an ongoing project, it's kind of exciting,
Yeah,
but.
we always, when we drove through Butcher Lake, we always noticed this, there used to be a sign that says home of Gaylord Nelson.
And then disappeared.
And then it went away, and we were wondering, I wonder if that changed or something, but.
No.
But anyway, that's really good news, but yeah, to have, to identify your own hometown as,
Yeah.
I mean, a worldwide recognition.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah,
you know.
but that's crazy. So if you got any pull with the governor, maybe that's.
Yeah.
So we're making progress on that.
Do you have a media release on that?
Yes.
I'd like to publicize that a few places, but I'd like something official.
Yeah, I can, if
Yeah,
you
can you
want.
send that out, or can you send it to me and I can send it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all the local newspapers or something, sure.
Yeah, it was sent out, yep.
Yeah, cool.
You know, Gaylord Nelson was also the person behind the St. Croix Scenic and Wild River, where, by the way, the 19th annual River Road Saturday 28th.
Russ, how seamless. Grantsburg Historical Society, we were open this summer, Sundays 1 to 4, every Memorial Day to Labor Day. We had a fairly good year. Our ice cream social, the weather was too nice, everybody went fishing. But we started a new project, Christmas at Emma's. We have an older house that we've taken back to the early 1900s. And so we had a Christmas event and are busy planning for this coming year.
December 7th and 8th.
And we are open on special occasions or by appointment, but we were open, we'll be open for Russ's Ramble. And Big Gus Day is our event. We did lose a special event that we have been doing for the last several years. When the ADRC brings meals to the senior center, they have an evening meal, and after the evening meal, we were doing a presentation program where all those we could get to stay. And but because of all the changes for ADRC, they stopped the evening meal and trying to get enough people out just to come to our little 20-minute program.
If you don't feed them, they don't come.
Yeah. There you go.
It sounds like a movie title.
What if you did your program during the day? Well, that's another thing we're really trying to figure out what we can do, because we have enjoyed putting on these short little programs about the area and the people.
The change there is that they're trying to get the meals delivered to the door rather than at the community senior center. I think that's a problem there too. So we ran into a blockage there.
Yeah, I wasn't on the side teaching, so we were discussing all that. But anyway, it seems like it would be more logical to get to one spot.
And the socialization.
Socialization.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Bad subject.
And of course, we're working on our digitizing and some new sessioning, so.
And we are at our library every Monday. We're open. We have a history room at our library where we met a couple, 1 year or so ago. And so we have a good turnout there. They can come in and get information from us from
A lot of genealogy and.
In fact, we had 2 people there yesterday that came in.
Yeah, one was looking for family and one was looking for information on the Pansy
Post office.
Post office and stuff, so it's a fun time.
And we need volunteers.
Everybody needs to end their thing with, and we need volunteers.
So that's one way.
That's about ours. Oh, we did get, 2 years ago, we had a hailstorm. So we have our new roofs and new gutters are a big project. Our lawn seems to
Run into the
well,
basement.
run into the basement of the building. So we needed new gutters because a wet basement is not a good thing for storage. And they're doing that today. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jan Jensen with the Gordon Wascott Historical Society. We've got a couple buildings in Gordon. We've got a Sioux Line Railroad Depot, and we've got an old museum that was an old pioneer house. Then in Wascott, we've got a church, community church, and a Wonderland Country Schoolhouse. And all of them have spoil damage. So we're struggling with that and repairs on older buildings. So that's kind of kept us pretty busy over the summer. As far as attendance at our places, we're open weekends from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Our attendance was down this year. It seems like we had a huge surge after COVID opened everything up, and now it's kind of going down a little bit. We need volunteers. We've been really struggling. In fact, we can't even get paid attendance. We do pay our attendants $12 an hour, which isn't much, but nevertheless, people just do not want to work. So what's happened is our board members, we volunteer, so we will take a 3-hour or 6-hour shift. So we were able to keep the buildings open this summer, but it's really tough. I don't know how we can recruit people. No matter what we do, they just don't want to work. So that's been one of our major issues. We did have otherwise quite a successful year financially. We're doing really well. We did get a grant from Americana Corner. They're stationed someplace out in the east, but anyway, Americana Corner. So we did get a $7,000 grant from them towards our historical park. And we also got a $10,000 grant from the local church. That's a kind of a memorial for their old church organist who was with them for 30 years and one of the pioneers in the town. So we're doing well with that. Donations are all up, but we've got a lot of upcoming expenses, so fundraising is still a major thing. Our historical park that I mentioned earlier, we're doing a buy a brick campaign because we're going to have engraved bricks around the patio in the park. So people are buying bricks for $100 a piece, which I think is going to generate some more income for us. We're in the process of putting up a patio, memorial benches, our Wisconsin historical marker, and also we have someone who's going to create a birch bark wigwam for us. So we're kind of excited about that because that was the site of the Avik Indian Ojibwa village up there. So that's one of our projects. During the summer, we did historical walking tours to bring people in through the cemetery and through the downtown areas. We also had our first ever, what we call it, is Sounds, Sweets, and More event. So we had live music. This was in conjunction with Gordon Good Neighbor Days, which is a big deal in Gordon. I mean, people come from all over for that. But we had live music, we had a silent auction, and we had a sweets auction, like pies and desserts. And we ended up making considerably more than we ever made on our ice cream socials. I think it was like about 3,600 we brought in. So, you know, it was well attended, so we're gonna do that every year. And we've got ways to improve for next year. We're really excited because we have a railroad buff who's donating a Sioux Line caboose to us. And he's meticulously restored it. We're working on land use issues. We need a land use permit and we need a county variance, zoning variance, and that type of thing. But once we get through those things, we're going to start doing the site prep and get the railroad tracks down. Hopefully get a sponsor who's willing to transport it from down in southern, in fact, Broadmoor, I believe it is, just south of Madison is where it's coming from. So that's going to be our next big project that we're going to be fundraising for. I think that's about it for me. We need volunteers.
I think we've had a great summer. We have, the first time this year, we have museum educators. We have funding, we funded for some part-time help for this summer, and John and Sarah are part of that. And so we've gotten a lot of, besides doing more historical reenacting, we've gotten a lot of other things done. There's more signage and information available on our exhibits. But we're planning a Laura Ingalls Wilder Day for October 1st, I think it is.
Yeah.
And that we're gonna have homeschool groups come forward. We had a huge turnout for our spring field trips, and we have several planned for later this month, smaller ones. And we had a phenomenal event through UW-Madison, and there were grants from several places that a folklorist actually did the organizing, and it was comparing the immigrant experience of Scandinavians to the immigrant experience of the Somalians, which both came about 100 years apart, but they all had to go through similar things to uproot and move to a new community. So we had a couple of different events pertaining to that, and I thought it was phenomenal. You've never seen a Somalian making, is it mahwala, on a lefse griddle. So that was pretty phenomenal.
I thought our Women's History Day event was really good too.
Yep. And no, what was I going to say?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You were talking about the Somalis.
No, I was going to talk about day camps. We had, all of our day camps were pretty much full, and we had 5 of them this summer, which is the most we've ever had. And those are so much fun, guys. I can't tell you how enriching they feel to even the adults that are involved in it, and all these kids that are like, I want to come back next year. Can't we keep it going? Can't we go another week? Or this is really a okay, so we have, I know we do need volunteers too, but we have so many children and young families that volunteer that is the most fun thing ever, because they want something to do with their kids that doesn't cost them money. They're not paying anything out. The kids love to come, and it just is an all-around win-win-win for all of us. And I think we need to really expand on that. But anyway, that's phenomenal. We are still fundraising for a new building, and so if anybody has any interest, I can give all of you a flyer like this, to come to our murder mystery dinner, which is this coming Saturday. The Barron Spotlighters are putting on that part of it. Pony Folk is the band that's playing. We have a dinner. It's going to be grilled chicken, corn on the cob, mashed potatoes and gravy, pie and ice cream, the whole, like it would have been a 1900s community picnic. And we'll be doing a silent auction, a 50-50 raffle, and a gun raffle during it as well. So this is for our new Welcome Center, and if any of you haven't heard me tell about the new Welcome Center, I need Russ to get on board with this, because then everybody would know about the new Welcome Center. But this is, we've raised over $1 million, but we still need almost $1.5 million more in order to get this done. And the ground is cleared, the wood's out, they put in a basic, well, kind of a set to make a parking lot. We have our plans that we're getting them approved with the state, but we can't do anything until we raise enough money for it. So if anybody wants to come to this Saturday, we would love to have you. It's $100 a plate. I can guarantee you it'll be a load of fun. The Spotlighters did their murder mystery. They wrote it themselves, and they did it on, I told them a couple stories about what happened in the area. They didn't tell me what story they picked. So I don't know, and they said they changed it so it wouldn't be the real murderer. So we don't know who the murderer is. But you get to try and solve that. You dress up like the 1900s, and then you go around and you visit the townspeople who are the Spotlighters, dressed in costumes, and you ask them questions and try to solve who done it. So that should be a lot of fun. Of course, our Christmas in the Village will be coming up the same weekend, but I guess it wasn't quite the same dates as yours, because we're the 6th and 7th. Ours is Friday night and Saturday. Yours is Saturday and Sunday. So that's always a lot of fun. It brings in a lot of people. It's our biggest event. Last year had 3,500 people come for our 8 hours of events. So it was like a little overwhelming for us, but worth the trip if you want to drive down for that as well. I can't I can't remember if I've forgotten anything else really important. We've, this summer, more than any other summer, we've had a lot more private events and organizations booking with us for, well, I told you about that bus tour that's coming up, and this, we have a 100th birthday party this Saturday that they're expecting 200 to 300 people. Every year we do the Veterans Picnic. We have a Wisconsin maple syrup producers annual meeting. We had the Farm Bureau, the Barron Electric. They're all of a sudden we're getting a lot of those in, which is a nice benefit too. And that's all I have, except that we could use more volunteers.
Do you guys have any River Road ramble thing?
No, I'm sorry, no
Do you
river.
ever, you know?
Well, I heard that there's one over by the St. Croix River. All right, brief.
Oh, okay, so our attendance was down this year and our contributions were down. I don't know, just kind of weird. Probably the biggest thing is that we finally found someone that was willing to give us a bid to move a church that we own about, what is it, about
3 or
4
4
blocks to put by the museum. So we're hoping to do that and generate more interest to get more volunteers.
Well, we a venue, if we get the chapel
Right.
fixed up, it can be rented out again
Right.
for weddings. Right now, the floor isn't safe enough because the foundation's crumbling. And so when it's moved, we can rent it out again, get some money, and we can use it for a lot of stuff, and then we can have
Yeah,
events.
plays,
Because we don't have a building right now,
movie
so.
night,
But part of the reason
shows,
attendance was down is we did not advertise like we used to always put a thing in every newspaper with a big picture, museum open this weekend, and have somebody's grandma, you know, doing something. And we forgot to do that, and I don't know, we'll have to get on the ball here. Because we don't have enough volunteers, it's just us.
So the one thing that we do every year, and this has been going on for a number of years, is that we have a car show in July, and the attendance for that is always really good, and that's one of our main sources of income. So because it's been ongoing for all these years. You know,
That's the day after yours, so they all come from yours to ours. This is in August. Oh, I thought you still had one in July. Where'd they come
okay.
from?
But wait a minute, did we have it in August?
Oh, it's in August.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
in August.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, you know, that's a kind of a good thing, and you know, people like to look at old cars yet, so.
Okay, anything else? We didn't do anything.
So,
We had attendance was down, that's about it.
we're only about 15 minutes away from lunch, so
Okay.
let's try to cut it down to 4 minutes per group here, all right?
All right, you guys done?
Done.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're from the Bruce Museum and Historical Society. We got 2 buildings. Most of it's our Bruce Museum, which is an old newspaper office right in town. About the size of one section here, but we have it pretty well displayed. We also have the Apollonia Church, which is about a mile west of town on Highway 8. We've had it, pretty much an average to about every year. We've had a couple of pie and ice cream socials, one in Bruce, one in Apollonia, and those have been very successful. My only concern there, again, with the volunteers thing, probably the median age of people volunteering at those is 70s and 80s. So how many more years we can continue that? We have a couple of new display cases, 8-foot glass ones we picked up, and beautiful, and that's given us some more options for displays. Gotten a lot of good compliments there. This summer, the kids at the local summer library reading program visited us one evening. We had about 40 of them, came in groups of about 20. That went really, really well. We got some parents then later on, and kids that they liked what they saw, and they came back. We have a very, very active tech crew, guys that just love this sort of thing. And so they've been digitizing pictures. They're into this, probably pushing 3,000 or more by now. And they have little roundups in local townships, and they get more of them. And, let's see, one of our tech crews has Weyerhaeuser connections, so she's spinning off a little bit, and there's a new museum in Weyerhaeuser, just down the road. It's a Sioux Line depot, plus they just got control of the old fire hall, and that's working out really well, so we kind of help them out. I guess I better close for that. Oh yeah, we have another little, I don't know, fundraiser, but an activity coming up on September 20th. It's an old-fashioned hymn sing at the historic Apollonia Church just down the road from Bruce. So if you want to
bring it to us.
Bring it. Yes. Yes.
You know, the Ice Age Trail is designated Weyerhaeuser.
Weyerhaeuser. Right, yeah, in Rice Lake.
Yeah.
And so there's still time to come.
Yeah.
We are open till September 18th.
On Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
10 to 2.
And we have no heat,
so,
but we do have electricity. And like last week, a family came from Minneapolis. They were excited, their grandparents, everybody had retired, the siblings, the nephew, and they all made a trip to Bruce because they used to come to their grandparents' farm.
What hours?
10 to 2 on Wednesday.
I'm with the Birchwood Area Historical Society. We have two buildings, the Log Museum and the Maury House, which is set up as our season is only from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend because we don't have volunteers, and we're only open the first and third Saturday, 11 to 4. So we'd love to be open more, but we have like 13 volunteers, period. One of the things we did new this year was host a crafters fair, and it was reasonably successful considering we didn't have to do anything, and it wasn't well publicized, but we'll do that again. We had a pie and ice cream social during the Bluegill Fest Days weekend, and that was, we raised almost $900 on that. So we're 95% to reaching our goal for our re-roofing fund. We had to re-roof the Maury House a few years ago, and we were able to re-roof the Log Museum this year. New fundraising idea for us, we have 50 plus vintage blue canning jars that we are dating and selling. So that's kind of our new thing. We haven't sold any yet, but we're going to. And that's about it. We need more volunteers.
I'm with the Polk County Historical Society, so I would say this year is good. This is our first year having year-round hours, so we started that in January. It took a little while for it to catch on, obviously, just because people didn't quite know. I didn't have to dig too many tunnels to get the open signs out, so that was nice. We'll see how this winter goes. I think our attendance has been up just from what I can pull off the top of my head. Our events this summer were well attended. Freedom Fest and root beer float sales and all that kind of stuff. They were always nice. It's nice to do things in conjunction with our Chamber of Commerce, so we don't have to put in a lot of time and effort with it. We did do our own event this year. It was Pioneer Days. It was really well attended, but not much for like a fundraiser. So I mean, it wasn't bad. At least that way we got more people in the museum. People got to see the space. And then next year I think we'll move it to again a date that's closer in line with what another group in the village is doing. They do their Corn on the Curb Labor Day weekend, so we'll probably just move it to that to get more people and more things going on. This weekend we have the Chamber is throwing a wine walk, so the museum is participating in that. So if anybody wants to walk around and get drunk, wine this weekend. Yeah, we have red wine, we have white wine for each stop, and then each place has to like pair, some kind of food pairing with it. So other places do like their whole big chili and full food. Since we don't have a kitchen, our options are limited. So I've got pears and Tootsie Rolls and apples and cheese. So if you want to get drunk real quick, come to my stuff. So I'm going to prepare it. I still do my monthly speaker events, so actually Dave did a really good flint napping one. I just got an email from somebody and he said, I missed it, is he coming back? So those are still going on. I've got somebody coming in September 17th to talk about circumnavigation, so she sailed the globe on a yacht. October, I'll be speaking, and then I've also got like a Halloween game night type thing, so kids are playing history games and stuff like that. So that'll be coming up. Yeah, that's all I got.
Now, we're from the Amory Historical Society. We had our grand opening in June 1st, and we had good attendance and interest from the community. Our membership this year is up about 20%, and we are running out of room already. Wow. Display items and whatever. So some of the things going on, like this Thursday, we have a membership meeting, and we'll be talking about lost towns of the Amory area. And by the surrounding area of Amory, we mean all those school districts that merged into the Amory school system.
Two Clio tours.
Huh?
That's two Clio tours.
Okay, all right. Let's see, in October, we're going to do a cemetery tour. One of the things I did years ago is, because my passion is genealogy, so I found these little newspaper clippings of different pioneers from the Amory area. So I went back and I put a book together with the 5-generation genealogy of each of those pioneers. So now we're going to try and find how many of those are in the cemetery. And we have a great-granddaughter of the first person ever buried in the cemetery. So she'll be part of that tour. We've got the Amory third graders coming in October. So there'll be about 60 kids coming over 2 days. We did get a grant from the Anne Marie Foundation, and the person that's in charge of it for the Polk County area called me up and asked if they could have their board meeting at the museum. So I invited him to come up and take a look at it and see if it would fit their needs. He walked in the door and he goes, wow, I never expected this. So I was pretty pleased. So I said, do you think we spent your money wisely? And also another group, the Women's Club, wants to use it for a meeting. So we're getting people who want to come in and use our building for other things. So it's good. Our goal for the year is to pay off the mortgage by December. We've got $45,000 left to raise. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You could do it.
We can do it. We will do it. With a few more volunteers.
Do you need more volunteers?
Yes, we need volunteers. All of you come on down. Open your wallets, come on.
That's the last
So okay, the lunch is ready. We haven't finished our agenda. So how about we get our food and settle down and eat a little bit and then see if we want to continue. The afternoon has a few items that on the 12:30 to 1:30 is lunch, so maybe we can finish our meeting during there. 1:30 to 2:30 is to visit the little building.
History library?
Yeah, where they have all of their records and digitizing and everything, which is really quite nice. And then 2 to 3, if you are here, Angelique, our interpreter and storyteller, will tell us how life was during the fur trading post. So why don't we do lunch and then figure out if we want to continue with the meeting.
During lunch if you want to.
Yeah, that's what I thought we could do. If you could eat quietly.
Okay. You're in charge.
Did you want to cover the
okay.
Amory topics?
Right. Well, I just had some questions for everybody. Yes, since now we are more organized, sort of. We have a real museum. I just wondered, do you guys have any specific policy and procedures that you have for
The what?
Policy and procedure?
For what?
The museum?
Oh, acquisitions.
Yeah, we have that one. We have acquisitions.
Yeah.
And standard operating procedures, we've got,
We have digital acquisitions also.
Exactly.
okay. We have opening and closing, checklists that our volunteers need to use when they're opening and closing the museum. Emergency procedures.
Yeah.
Something are surrounding our exhibits and whatever, what we put in there and whatever. Guidelines.
Do you rent out things?
Well, we've started to get groups that want to meet in our room, in the classroom, so we're moving on to that.
So, yeah, so some procedures and stuff like that?
Yeah, meeting and study rooms, yeah,
Okay.
that's on the list. Having service animals with a person come in, and photography of our, and recording of our displays and all that. Just thinking about, nothing's been typed out. We just got some ideas. So, you can take a look and see if you want to. And then we also have a list of standard forms that we use. And so we do a budget request, because we have our educational grant and programming chair on our committee. So we want to know what that's going to cost. Well, how much money do we need to do our budget planning at the end of the year? We can get some idea. What else? Like we do a survey. Standard, like whatever we use. Expense reimbursement request, and we have to submit all the original charge things or whatever.
Question, Diane. Who are you giving the survey to? What are you?
Well, for example, Thursday, we're having a membership meeting where we do the outcomes presentation. So those members will get a survey request. They like it, we can do that or whatever. Well, we also have, yeah, we also have a survey for visitors to the museum. So that's been really, really beneficial. So,
Does every visitor get it?
if they want, we did it at the grand opening, and our first regular opening that we did, and it was really good to have that information. So it's there if they want to fill it out, we let them know that it's there, and then we'd appreciate it if they did fill it out. And then we have a questionnaire for the volunteer that was there that day. What went well, what did better, what did we not tell you about, that kind of stuff. So I don't know what you guys are all doing, but.
The survey, is that something they mail back or they?
No, they do it right here at the meeting.
Yes.
So our group has a youth involvement with, we have a parade float and a bunch of royalty for the 19th annual River Road Ramble. They're called the River Road Royalty, River Road Ramble Royalty, and we have a set of policies for the parents that are involved in it and the girls on sort of standards of what's acceptable behavior and things like that. And we actually had to, I had to come down on one of the advisors because, well, anyway, problems with that. So having a standard, if you're working with kids and other volunteers as a subgroup, like this is a subgroup, it's kind of important to have some standards written up for.
Because we're starting to have some group tours from the grade schools, and we want a teacher there and a couple of parents, because some of these groups are like 30 people, 30 kids. I'm not managing 30 people.
Our policy is one adult for every eight kids.
Okay.
Achieve that because we do charge admission, so we achieve it by saying that one adult for every 8 kids is free, the rest of them pay.
Okay. None of that's fleshed out, it's just kind of, I've used our Henry library as a starting point for someone who's interested, some very good policies in place, so. And our librarian is on our board, so that really helps.
What does the royalty do? What is their purpose?
Okay,
They look cute.
they, you know, what does the royalty do for any village or town or organization? It's for publicity for us. We have them in, I don't know, 20 local festivals every year, driving down with the River Road Ramble sign on the side. They have a parade float and everything, handing out brochures for the event. And the other side of it is it's self-perpetuating because the mothers of girls, usually we've only had girls so far, but who want to be candidates like to do that to help out, their kids. And this is a, really small group. We aren't like the huge city of Luck or something like that where you have a lot of people. We're small, and so if you want to be a royalty girl, you probably can be one. At the Ramble, at the community center where our museum is, they have the tea on the Queen's tea on the Ramble Day, and then they change to the new candidates. And our candidates are required to do service. So for instance, they probably were over to the Luck Abelskever breakfast, pancake breakfast, helping out, or the local firemen's events and things like that. Plus they're forced to listen to me giving a history lesson on the River Road and why it's so important that we celebrate it, okay? But it's an interesting thing. They just volunteered. So a girl who had been in the maybe Centuria royalty or something hadn't got enough of it, so she convinced her parents, who are members of our historical society, that we should have a royalty and a float, and then they went ahead and did it. And we just kind of stood back and enjoyed it. And so now that's like 10 years we've had it with different kids. So anyway, okay, so have we got the Amory? I can't.
Yeah, that's me, that was me. I just passed a question if anybody, this is just kind of brainstorming. Nothing's fleshed out except their acquisition.
Yeah, well, encouraging more people to volunteer.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I guess nobody's going to answer that, because I'm always sure.
Yeah, the other part there is interesting too, the board meeting business. We have a relatively small board. We meet once a month, and we generally have enough attendance so that we can actually do things and plan things and that. But of course, like everybody else, you would like to have more people. Brenna, who's on the county, Polk County Museum, was listing on their Facebook, boy, we would like, we'd like to have more volunteers for board members, because usually if you have a board member, you expect them to be a little more involved in the activities, but...
I always tell ours that we're kind of the face of the board, and we need to be here and have our faces out here.
Yeah.
So people know
Yeah.
who we are and what we represent.
Yeah.
So your board member, does it include like your specific committee chair people?
For ours, it's so small of a board, we just kind of do everything as a group.
We've got 5 different committees, and then we've identified 5 major goals, and each committee member has responsibility for working on that goal and bringing in their own volunteers. So we've got our membership committee, historic documentation and preservation. What else have we got? Fundraising. Our publicity person. Who's the other one? Oh, then we've got the museum committee. Yeah, well, we do grants as fundraising, but like Gary's responsible for maintenance type stuff. Letting the board know what needs to be done and how much money we need. He's a good fixer. I'm getting into quality in the crawl space of the building, but I don't know. Got him up in soup, but he hasn't gotten down there yet, but
Ours is a little different, and we do have committees. For instance, for the 19th annual River Road Ramble, we have the Ramble Committee of 11 folks who volunteer. They're all volunteers or stops on the event, and so they volunteer to do a lot of the planning and the work behind doing it, because it's in their interest to have it successful, because I mean, like the Cushing Lutheran Church wouldn't be able to sell its 1,300 apple pies if they didn't have the Ramble there to have a crowd come in. So they think it's a useful event. Okay, so let's see. I think we'll skip encouraging volunteering, because we don't have an answer to that.
If you find something that works, let me know.
Yeah. So other. Anybody got some other stuff here? We'll get out of here by, who's got a watch? What time is it? We're supposed to be out by 1:30. Oh, well, we got time. So did anybody have any other things they want to bring up? Yes.
Going back to the board meetings, what works well for others, one thing I was going to mention, we have trouble getting a quorum at our meetings. So what we have done, like the last meeting we had last week, we had 4 out of 9 of us there, okay? And there was some action we had to take, a number of different items based on timelines. So we would pass a motion subject to email follow-up votes. And then I get that motion out with a little bit of explanation by email to the rest of our board members and ask if they respond immediately, yes or no. So that's how we end up doing our business quite often. I don't know, do the rest of you do something like that?
We actually have a Zoom option, so if some board members cannot attend, and it's been very helpful. We have monthly, we have at least one board member that will come in, but still attend via Zoom. And I think that option has been very welcome.
Right. We do Zoom meetings in the winter when a lot of people are gone, so it's exclusively Zoom at that time. We've struggled a little bit with trying to do Zoom plus, being in person, the combination of the two. I don't know, for whatever reason, our board members don't like it. They like either all Zoom or all everybody here. That's just our board.
What else did you want to talk about? There's this other thing is hanging there yet, and before we check it off, we've got to. Somebody should just say something other, right? No.
I don't expect a meal like this in January and December. Okay?
You what?
Don't expect a meal like this in January and December. I'll get you a cookie. Coffee and a cookie.
But there's healthy sandwiches, you can do that.
The ghosts in our museum have been confirmed.
We were our genealogy society, and then I think just me was over to visit the Turtle Lake Museum, and Dave says upstairs is a walking ghost. So you found out that that's real?
Yeah, my cousin who used to be the manager there, we were at a funeral of all places.
We're at a family picnic.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so I asked him, did you ever hear footsteps, and he said, yeah, all the time.
Oh, we've only heard it once, so I don't know if it's
Yeah.
But he was there every day working, so.
Okay.
See, that should be it. That should be an attraction.
Yeah, we're actually, I was thinking that I'd contact some of the paranormal guys to come and then do a program.
Awesome. That'd be awesome.
So talking about an experts list, did you get, Dave, that Alexandria Till letter I emailed to you?
Oh, yes, I did.
Dr. Till was a famous person around Barron who did some kind of plaster treatments, and was always in trouble with the law. Hudson and Somerset and Barron and Turtle Lake was a big stop, and they have a display in there. And some years ago, I used to do a newspaper column with a few other people on local history, and so we did one on Dr. Till, kind of scoffing at his medical thing. And his granddaughter, who lives in Frederick, wrote a very long, rather nasty letter saying, she wouldn't let me publish it, but I sent it on to you, Dave. And so if any of you guys are interested in doing a Dr. Till thing, his granddaughter lives in Alexandria, Till, but it's really Beecroft, I think is the name. But
How old is she then?
I would guess she must be at least my age, which I really wouldn't admit, but
Yeah.
that's the way
A little over 50.
Yeah, a little over 50, yeah. So another resource that's right here in this area, there's a guy, I gotta think of his name, McEwen, Joni McEwen's husband, Jim. Yeah, he is a old camera expert. And we had him down to Luck many years ago to talk about cameras and then evaluate ones that people brought in. But he wrote this, we have a copy at Luck of this really thick book of the value of any camera ever made. And he was quite a collector. So if you have camera things, don't know if he still goes out and talks about them, but he is the expert on camera collecting and values of cameras and that, and he just lives nearby here. And his wife is a volunteer here. Yeah.
Yes, and she comes in weekly and works in the library.
Yeah.
Is doing research. So
yeah.
if anyone needs contact.
Yeah. There's a lot of people locally who are collectors of things. My brother is a axe head collector. And I said, well, how is it that you've got 50 different axe heads and they all look the same to me? And he, But anyway, so those are really interesting people to have. At Luck one time we had a button collector come in, a local person who collected buttons. At Cushing we had a fruit jar collector come in. And those were all well attended because there are people out there who are into those things.
We are about to become the owners, well, at some point, I'm not sure if it's like eminent or a little further out, but of the largest hammerhead collection in the world.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's what we need, right?
Yeah.
He told me, and I can't remember, but it was like 3,000 some hammerheads. I have no idea. He built a stacking system so that they can all be in a 3 by 3 by 6 foot.
Kathy and I had to go on a quest because someone had donated some axes and axe heads to us, and they wanted us to specifically find whatever axe it was or whatever. And we went through and we went to the logging museum, and here's all these axes, and how do you start? I mean,
Well, you send an email with a picture to a guy named Everett Hansen, and he'll tell you.
There you go. See, if you know these people that help.
Okay, so let's see where we're at. Lightning session. Anybody got anything they want to tell that how to do something, or 5 minutes worth of?
I have a question.
Yeah, okay.
We're struggling with membership dues. Right now, we charge $15 for a single, $25 for family, and $50 for a business.
You know, we offer such a range of memberships that people can pick their own level. What do you want to pay? Basically, we call them different things, and then they pick it. And we start at $15 for an individual. But we have a $5,000 one that we have a couple that take that.
Would that be like a lifetime membership?
No, we don't offer lifetime anymore. We used to, and those people are almost all dead now.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this is an annual, and there's one couple that has been taking that annually.
I think our best membership, we do a life membership for $100. It's otherwise it's $10 a year. I had a 90-year-old guy come in and do a life membership this summer. So
We do lifetime also, $100 for a person or $150 for a couple.
Okay.
I think that's what ours is too.
Okay, yeah, I just got somebody to see.
Ours is 10, 50 annually or 100 lifetime. Ours is 50 for 5 annually, but we only have
publishing item.
So if you do annual, then the expenses keep going on, they're sending them newsletters, which gets more and more expensive all the time, but you have no more money coming.
I've thought about trying, looking at going from membership to Friends of the Historical Society. But I don't know, some people are just, I don't want to be a member, and I want something like that.
Yeah, because our membership form, it also includes, you know, if you want to give a donation, if you want it to go towards our operating budget or our museum fund, that would buy, you know, maintenance type things for the museum fund.
We've been doing a lot of sponsorships here too, like sponsor an event, sponsor during rendezvous something, and then we put up signage and that kind of thing, and get donations in that way. That kind of extends that when you have a lifetime membership kind of thing. Sponsorships back instead. So that seems to work.
Yeah, we're going to do a golf tournament next week.
We do a quarterly newsletter, and one of the things we should do as a group is make it so we exchange our newsletters, make them available to each other, because that would be quite interesting. At least we would hope it'd be interesting, but that would be nice. But when you get, if you've ever paid dues to our, or became a member of ours, you are on our list permanently until we get a not found address or somebody tells us to take it off. And we do send out with postage 4 times a year, and we just figured that even people who haven't paid dues or membership for several years will eventually feel guilty and send you a check for, they'll send you a check for $30, $40 or $100 to catch up in that, because they get the newsletter. And if the newsletter has something that relates to that particular person, like one of, well, anyway, then you can usually get something better, get a little bigger one. So you try to put as many names and people and things in your newsletter as you can. But I just think it's too much bother to keep track of who's a lifetime member and who isn't. And so I just said, okay, we're going to send out newsletters, because we only have like 120 we send out, and by paper. We send out some by email, but so we just do it and figure that's part of our cost of operation.
You can charge them if you want to get off your.
There you go.
It's like if you're on our board, unless you die, you're stuck.
Another way we could do that without it being a big cost, we could bring like 25 copies of, or, because I assume most of us are quarterly newsletters, right? We could bring like 25 copies.
Oh.
We do 3 times.
We could bring them here, and it would save the mailing costs, and whoever.
Well, we could just send a link to them too, or a PDF file.
We email most of ours.
Ours is all paper.
Yeah,
this list.
I would like to receive from whoever wants to send this on.
So someone has that copy of the email addresses and stuff. Is that, do you guys have that?
Brenda does.
Oh, she took it, okay.
Oh, this one, yeah.
That's the one we signed in today?
Yeah.
So maybe we could scan that and send it out.
It'll go along with the minutes.
Yeah, okay, and then we can use that. Maybe we can make an email. Well, Brenda has an emailing list for all of us, so maybe we could just send our newsletter to her and ask her to blast it out.
So if it's an email newsletter that people are sending, it'd probably be better like coming from Diana, because Brenna is eliminating, she's doing one per organization, and.
Well, I don't know, she had a list, she has a list, somebody's got a list of these people here, up-to-date one, and I don't, yeah. Okay, so anyway, I think that'd be a nice idea to do that, because the newsletters probably, would be quite interesting, I think. A little bit of what's going on, too. So let's get into the meeting review. What went well?
We got through the agenda.
Well, we had a nice place to meet. Wonderful hosts, excellent meal. I was gonna say, I think we should just automatically do it here.
At least once in summer.
Okay, so we're going to go on a tour pretty soon. So what could be improved? I think we should get back to this. The host takes over the meeting instead of picking some person just from the audience to do things.
That'll be a reminder, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So a motion to adjourn is in order. So somebody, I heard Tim down there. Okay, who's second? And you seconded it? So there we actually have something official we've done on this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, next meeting, December 10th, which by the way is my birthday. December 10th. So I don't know if I'm supposed to bring treats or I should get them.
Okay, who made the motion to adjourn?
Tim White, W-Y-S-S, and Rochelle, R-A-C-H-E with an accent over it, L, let's see, what's your, Starbuck?
Starbuck?
Yeah, did the, and then everybody, it was unanimous. We're going to write up a little blurb for the local newspaper here in Frederick, and that's the one we do of this event, because they had asked us, the newspapers nowadays don't really have enough coverage of their reporters, so those of us like William and I who know the reporters often get asked, can you write up a little piece about this event, because we didn't cover it. So I'm going to write up about how masterfully it was taken over.
Don't forget the River Road.
Yeah, it will,
Oh, yeah.
it will publish,
Yeah,
it
the
will
River Road.
publish the week before the
Yeah.
River Road happened.
And
All right.
we all need volunteers.
Yes, and we all need volunteers, yes. Yeah.